Wow, that actually sounded the closest to the actual song clapping that I've heard you do yet.
Yeah, I was just clapping
just as fast as he can.
as fast as my hands would let me do it. So
I just want to talk about quantum physics all the time. It's insane.
it's absurd. I don't
insane.
understand it at all.
We gotta do some.
We
I
got a
don't
space
either.
pod from Mike, and then we can release him.
Yay.
Yeah, Mike, I assume you
fine.
need to get going. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I was hearing
Yeah.
sounds and I was like, oh my gosh, is Angry Mike gonna come out?
Do you mind doing mics?
Thankfully not.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, okay, so we'll have to do Mike's Space Pod, and then we can release him, and we can get Steven right back
Yay.
shortly after that.
Thanks, John Burr.
Yay.
Hey.
Hey, John, stand by with us. Dwight, stand by with us so we can get Mike's space pod out of the way, and then we can release him, and then we're all you for a bit.
Yay.
All Boniecki all the time. I suppose it's Steven Boniecki, I apologize.
So yeah, Carrie Ann, you remember that movie Moon, right?
Actually, we named
Sci-fi
our
movie
car
Moon.
after Gertie, which was the AI on Moon. That was the computer companion.
Well, today we're talking about a real life Gertie, and it looks a lot like it. It's
I'm so excited. Now I'm going to have to
Really?
name my next car Simon, apparently. Right, Simon? I assume that's how you pronounce that?
Yeah, although they spell it with a C, one of those backronyms, but it's still cool.
Oh, yeah. That's
So yeah, let's give this a try. A really cool yet eerily familiar project by Airbus in cooperation with IBM is working to build an AI companion robot for the German space agency, DLR, that's going to be sent to the ISS to help out astronauts while up there. So let's talk about this. This is going to be your space pod for Tuesday, March 13th, 2018.
Go ahead and give me a cue to start the video if you want me to start right up front.
Yeah, you can go ahead and start it up front.
Copy. Here we go.
1, 2, 3. The technology demonstrator, which is about the size of a medicine ball and weighs around 5 kilograms, will be tested on the International Space Station by Alexander Gerst during the European Space Agency's Horizon mission between June and October of 2018. Simon is designed to support astronauts in performing routine work, for example, by displaying procedures, thanks to its neural AI network and ability to learn that will be able to offer solutions to problems. It uses Watson AI technology from the IBM cloud, and with its face, voice, and artificial intelligence, becomes a genuine colleague on board. With Simon, which stands for Crew Interactive Mobile Companion, crew members can do more than just work through schematic views of prescribed checklists and procedures. They can also engage with their assistant. In this way, Simon makes work easier for the astronauts when carrying out everyday routine tasks and helps to increase their efficiency and will facilitate mission success and improve security, as it can also serve as an early warning system for technical problems. Now, Airbus initially examined the concept for the assistance system as part of a self-finance study. Then, in August of 2016, the Bonn-based DLR Space Administration commissioned Airbus's aerospace experts to carry out the project. And since then, the 50-strong project team has comprised members from Airbus, DLR, the German Space Agency, IBM, and also the Ludwig Maximilians University in Munich. And they've all been working together to ensure that Simon takes shape and is brought to life. And the system is learning to orient itself and move around and also accumulate knowledge to help, with the help of the Watson AI technology, to be able to train and recognize its human partners. There it is. You see a photo of it looking at a upside-down photo of Alexander Gerst. But among other things, the Watson AI was trained using voice samples and photos of Alexander Gerst, and will have lots of different procedures and plans of the Columbus module at the International Space Station, which has been loaded into its database. And Alexander Gerst also had to say that the selection of Simon's screen face and computer voice he helped to select that so that they could make friends, so to speak, with his electronic colleague. So I find that kind of interesting. But once the functional testing of the system has been completed, Gerst will work in space with Simon a total of 3 times. They're going to experiment with crystals, work together to solve a Rubik's Cube, and perform a complex medical experiment using Simon as an intelligent flying camera. In its first mission, Simon will only be equipped with a selected range of capabilities, and in the medium term, aerospace researchers also plan to use the Simon project to examine different group effects that can be developed over a long period of time in small teams that might arise during long-term missions to the moon or Mars, having AI assistance during those type of missions. So with this whole social interaction between the people and machines, between astronauts and assistance systems like this that are equipped with emotional intelligence could play a really important role into the success of long-term missions, especially missions heading out into deep space. Airbus's developers are convinced that here on Earth, development of this assisted system could also find future use in hospitals and even social care. But first, Simon will get its first taste of space as early as March 2018. The 31st German Space Agency DLR parabolic flight campaign is going to focus on, in particular, testing out the GNC algorithms, which stands for Guidance, Navigation, and Control, under zero-G conditions so that it can maneuver and control itself while up at the space station. And interestingly enough, too, some really cool work has been done in the area of manufacturing this. The entire thing, even though it's made up of plastic and steel, was created using 3D printing. So I find that very interesting as well. But in any case, we are starting to see some very interesting sci-fi components coming together in real life very quickly. And I find that very exciting. And I hope to see what this type of thing will bring in the future as robotic assistance at the space station and in future space exploration could be very beneficial. So again, I find this very interesting. And I definitely want to know what you guys think about this and whether or not you can spot which sci-fi movie this thing actually reminds us from. I won't spoil it right now. But in any case, be sure to check out our last live show where we were talking to Dwight Stephen Boniecki about saving Skylab, or rather searching for Skylab, which is going to be coming out really soon, and looking forward to that. And be sure to check out all of our live shows every Saturday at 1800 Coordinated Universal Time. Until the next time I see you guys, though, keep moving onwards and upwards, and don't forget, Ad Astra, to the stars.
Thanks, Mike.
Yay.
Whew.
Nicely done, Mike.
Thank you.
So Jared was out of the room for the majority of your space pod, and then he comes back into the room and just starts laughing wildly for no discernible reason. Then I looked up, I was like, oh, because there's a floating head, and that's probably why
That was
Jared's
funny.
laughing.
Look at it. It's really funny looking. It looks like a 4th grader drew the face, and they're like going with that.
It's
you know.
so mean.
But it's funny
Just like
though.
the Gertie face, though. That looks just like the Gertie
funny.
face. Though.
It's,
It's-
yes, it's very similar to the Gertie face. Although Gertie was a little
so
bit
good.
more like round yellow smiley, which whether or not you intended to be wearing the yellow, smiley sort of shirt. I mean, I know this is Star Trek, don't get me wrong, but I don't know if you were intending to wear the yellow shirt for that sort of callback, but I appreciate it nonetheless.
So silly looking.
Nonetheless. And for those of you who have not seen Moon, go out and see Moon.
Yes.
For crying
Wow.
out loud.
What a movie.
It's a good movie, and that's why we named
I
our
have
car
not seen
Gertie.
it.
Yes. I'm sure it's another
Gonna have to
background.
do that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to sign off, but Athena and Lisa, I guess Lisa's going to be doing a sci-pod in a little while.
Yeah.
Good luck to both of
Yeah.
you. And today was a great show. Thank you, everybody. And yeah, we'll see you all next time. Thank you too,
Hang
Dwight,
on.
for coming on again.
Hang
Interesting
on,
to
Mike.
hear these updates.
Mike, before you go, I do want to get in contact with you sometime soon, so check Discord, but specifically I want to bring you out to the studio for shoots and then just some fun time. So maybe you and a couple people just kind of come over sometime in a upcoming episode just to be in studio. Would that work in your timing?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I was even thinking, I've been looking at the different Amtrak passes, and I was thinking about possibly just going over there on my own, possibly next weekend, because yeah, I want to get over there as soon as possible.
Yeah, we'll take care of all of it. So hit me up on Discord, but let's make sure we coordinate this and get you in here sooner rather than later. And let's like more than just like rush you in and rush you back out kind of thing if we can.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, that was all. I just wanted to make
Sounds
sure
good
that
to
we connected and blah 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 blah. All right, thank you, Mike. Also, awesome shirt.
right.
I absolutely love and adore that shirt. That's incredible.
Thank you.
All right, see ya.
All right, we'll see you guys later.
So see ya.
Oh my goodness. Jared, I know there were a number of questions and or comments, concerns, complaints. I'm just going to lump all those together.
What's up?
About your shirt this
Yes.
week.
Yes.
Yes. What about it? Is there something specific?
I think somebody translated it.
Yeah, this is actually a clothing company called Hyena Agenda, and this is a hyena saying "haha" in Japanese, but it's a specific type of Japanese, if I remember correctly. Somebody in the chat room brought that up, but yeah, and they make really cool clothes and stickers and things like that.
I think they sort of misquoted it as being very specifically a dog saying "haha,"
It's
but
a dragon.
But now that I look at this, it's definitely a hyena.
Yeah.
Oh, hyena.
Yeah, because that's the the name of the company, Hyena Agenda.
Yes,
Right.
no, I
Yeah.
understood.
It's pretty cool though. I think it's pretty. I mean, I saw it at the convention and I was like, I want that, so I grabbed it. So
Nice.
yeah, and they sell it on their site as well. So if you guys ever want to, just like tweet at me, where did you get that shirt, and I will just send you a direct link to where I buy all of my clothes.
So cool.
So
You can do that with me as
Yeah.
well, but I may or may
Yeah.
not remember where on earth I got it from.
yeah, I like your shirt too, Kitty, because I do that all the time
Yeah.
at the job that
I
must not
whispered-
be named. So.
Yeah, I whisper WTF to myself at least 20 times a day is what her shirt says.
That's good.
Miss Athena, we also discussed your shirt that you said you got in New York.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that! That is so
Yeah.
cool.
I feel like I have wings and I can just fly. It's
Totally.
really fun. Yeah, I got it. It was so random. I actually needed to charge my phone, and I was walking around Soho somewhere, and I saw this store, and I saw an outlet, so I just walked in there and plugged my phone in, and this lady's like, "Can I help you?" Because it's this tiny little boutique place, and I don't shop. I don't really buy stuff. And she's just like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh, I just need to charge my phone." And then she's like, "Okay, well, we have this whole sale rack of stuff," and I'm looking, and everything's just kind of like, closed. And then I saw this, and I'm like, stores! And I literally swear I got it for maybe like $9, marked down
Nice.
from like $200. I was like, what?
Yeah, that's adorable.
I think it has, it's supposed to be like stars. I actually have shirts with actual Hubble images on them.
Oh,
nice.
This one isn't. I think it's just supposed to be like, this looks like little crystals, and this looks like it could be a nebula. This looks like
Right.
these could be like, I don't know, black holes. But
Yes. So, Mr. Dwight, there were
Yes.
also, this was like the day of shirts, apparently.
Yeah, what about yours, dude?
A number of
Yes.
comments about your shirt as
I
well.
forgot to change.
Well,
I'm not going to
tell us
change
about
on air.
this one first.
Just like tuck it in the front.
and then maybe you can go away and come back.
I can do that. Yes, I'll turn the lights off. This one we got at KSC.
Oh, this was from Kennedy Space Center, you're saying? The original moonwalk.
Why are you insisting on showing my stomach?
I mean, you did.
I show
man.
mine on air all the
You
time.
mentioned it, and then I just was. I jumped off of that. Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh, it's good. Yeah, it was great.
What else? What other shirts do we have?
Yeah.
Ben looks like he's like
Ben's not wearing anything interesting.
Ben looks like a casual Pearl Jam fan.
Oh yeah.
So
I have my Rocket Lab shirt on, and it's really cool because it says, wait.
Yeah, that chair's as big as you are, dude.
It says launch team, and it's like the still testing mission patch. So,
that's cool.
and also I just wanted to do that so I could show myself on camera because I'm pressing the buttons, and it's really fun.
It's like the angels singing themselves when I hear the Australian accent, I can tell you that much.
Quite good. Oh, that's amazing.
Detta is Star Wars, but he's hiding in the back.
Detta does have a Star Wars, but he is hiding in the back, and nope, there's no chance of that. Anyway, so yeah, Detta's changed a lot. Space Vogel says, yes, he has. We've made him into a.
Go on screen, Detta.
Who's that small child in the chair? That is what we call a mini Stoge.
Yes.
It was a one Lisa Stojanovsky that I have learned through her accent is not Stojanovsky, but because of the accent and because of my American accent, she's now called Stoge. That's just what we're gonna have to do.
What's going on here? Oh, okay, I see what's going on.
Yeah.
I missed all of that because Ben was giving me instructions on pressing buttons and stuff.
Oh wow! It's like they're the same person because they
Yeah,
never showed at the same time.
I was gonna say you've never seen Detta or Ben in the room at the same time. So
Like that John Travolta meme.
It is. That's actually very similar to that John
Oh man, oh, this is good. This is great.
Man. I had control of the show for all of 10 seconds.
It's all gone.
And then
so.
and then it just totally disappeared. It's totally ridiculous. In case Benjamin cares, people actually miss you, and I don't know why. It's kind of ridiculous. It's all right. He's giving Stodge some more button pushing techniques.
So we have 2 videos and 3 images.
We have 2 videos and 3
I've got
images.
Things that I can press. Woo!
Perfect.
Cool.
So this is going to be a weird, not quite lightning round of mystery. So what's going to happen, Dwight, is that Stodge is going to have to try and press some sort of button, and hopefully you recognize what image it is and or video it is, and then can tell us about it, if that's okay with you.
These are the parties from the photos from that party we had 2 weeks ago.
Oh, all right.
Oh, this is the song. This is the theme song for Searching for Skylab, performed by Tencent James.
I love it. And there's
No audio.
Farewells and blaze trails for the skies. Keep our sails trimmed until dawn's early light. Across these new frontiers, may the stars be our guide. On the horizon we ride. Cabin pressure stabilized. Can you read me 5 by?
Whoa.
Centrifugal forces
That was cool.
keep me grounded. The gravity of the situation is not lost on me. Everything that's gone wrong, that's okay. I can fix anything. Say your farewells and blaze trails for the skies. Keep our sails trimmed until dawn's early light. Across these new frontiers, may the stars be our guide.
That's the Bill Poe bit.
Horizon we ride. As I summer soul in my EVA dream, space tripping. Fully detached,
Hey,
I'll step
that's a wrong
outside.
clip. I've sent you the wrong prototype edit. Oh no.
That's amazing.
Wow, look at this footage.
I behold all I've ever loved. Say your farewells and blaze trails for the skies. Keep our sails trimmed until dawn's early light. Across these new frontiers, may the stars be our guide. On
Spinning chair.
horizon we ride. Say your farewells and blaze trails for the skies. Keep our sails trimmed until dawn's early light. Across these new frontiers, may the stars be our guide. On
Good timing.
That's cool.
That's great. Is that on Spotify?
Kind
I love
of.
that. That's great.
It's on I think it's on Spotify. Sean, who wrote the lyrics for the song, has distributed it on the band's website, 10 Cent Janes at Bandcamp. The website off the top of my head, I can't tell you. It's Skylab or nothing.
There you go. That's amazing. I'm definitely going to download that.
Yeah, it's on Spotify, by the way. So,
It looks like I got another video here too.
like
Dwight,
that.
do you want to play that one as well?
Yeah, well, really quickly, Andy Law from YouTube says, reminds me of Talking Heads, and he likes it.
yeah, I was gonna say it was like Midnight Oil, but like a funky version
Yeah.
of them. So that's kind of what I like.
And then, go ahead.
The funny thing is when I was doing the end credits, I had this idea. Sly Stone and the song Space Cowboy, and I used that as a reference. And I thought it's going to cost me an arm and a leg to get the rights to play that. Right. So how about we approach a band? And I got to know Sean because he sat next to us on a flight from Frankfurt to New Delhi as we were flying on to Australia, and he was in India on business. And we started talking music, and he's South African, and we had just watched the movies. Wonder where we got the name from. Searching for Sugar Man, which is about the artist called Rodriguez. And I said, one word I've got to say to you. And I said, Rodriguez. And he looks at me and he goes, oh, my God, the man is a legend. And we started talking about music. And they brought out their CD end of 2015, if I remember correctly. And there was one song on there called Radio where it blew me away. And I just went, you guys are awesome. And he said, which is your favourite song? And I said, Radio. And he said, well, that's my favourite one too. And I said, well, here's something for you. We're doing a film. Would you be interested in writing a song for it? And he goes, that sounds okay. What do we have to do? And I said, well, here's the reference I've got of the credits. See if you can work something into that. And that's the song they came up with.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Nice.
That is great.
That's awesome.
So good.
Another comment from the chat room, Therium says, always strikes me how huge the interior Skylab was. How big was the interior Skylab? I actually don't have a good reference myself.
Let me answer that in the style of Monty Python. It was very big.
Yeah.
It is the what did they say? It was roughly the size of a small house. I don't know if you've been to the trainer in Huntsville, the 1G mock-up, and you stand in it, and it's as big as if you put all of the floors together, equals the size of our house. I can tell you what it is in metric. Our house, Skylab at the moment. Sorry, Beck.
No, it's fine. I love it.
We've got 77 square meters, so convert that into that funny, weird measuring system you've got in the United States.
That's all right. The majority of our audience is outside of the U.S. anyway, so I'm sure metric makes way more sense to everybody else but me. So that's fine. I'll do the math later, and I will not do it on air because, as we all know, I'm terrible at that. So there's that. That's fantastic. So yes, Miss Lisa, as being the one pressing the buttons currently, Dada does not have the day off. He just is not pressing the actual buttons. What's the next thing you have randomly on the Price is Right wheel to give us? She's working on it. She's pressing things. She's making things
I see
go.
preview.
It's fine.
Does that file play?
I don't know. Is it not playing, Duda?
There we go.
There it is.
This is very rare footage of an aerial shot of SL1 launching. Everybody was saying there's no aerial footage. Well, there you go.
Wow.
And part of the reason we're looking to get Kickstarter funding, as I was saying, Stephen Slater had organised that we get these reference, what do you call them, screeners. And they've all got the time code burnt in. And when we have the finished product, we say we've used frame such and such and such and such. And then we have to pay for the licensing of that footage, or we have to pay for the transfer of that footage without the time code display. Mm-hmm. And as we're relying heavily on visuals to support what the interviewees are saying, that's where our funds are going to predominantly go, as well as marketing film, because being an independent production, we're relative newbies and unknowns, especially because we're outside of the United States and not in Los Angeles. It's a little bit difficult to talk to Hollywood producers.
Can't imagine. If it makes you feel any better, usually being in Los Angeles doesn't actually make it any easier.
Nope.
There's that. That's fascinating though, and really, really gorgeous footage. Yeah, that's really
so
cool.
cool.
It all
really cool to see.
all that 16mm stuff is just sparkling.
Yeah.
Looks like it was shot yesterday.
Yeah, no, it's pristine other than the time code burnt into it. And
The next picture, I am using my ESP to tell you that is myself and Ed Gibson.
I love it.
Wow.
That's
Nice.
it. I tell you, the one thing that completely floored me, I walked into his study, and the 3 mission reports of mine are sitting on the shelf, and I can tell you that's the most humble thing. That's not you and mine has got your books on their shelf. And I was like, I'm not worthy.
That's amazing. That's so cool. Were you also floored by the two of you having to match that day?
Yeah.
That was planned. See,
Yeah, no, I could read that on your face, totally. So then what's this picture?
The gentleman is Bernard Smith. He was in charge of USB and computing at Honeysuckle Creek, and he was responsible for, well, basically tracking Skylab. And he quasi opens the film. It's a beautiful, beautiful, down-to-earth thing. And again, coming back to the thing, how normal these people felt their extraordinary situation. His memories of what Skylab meant to him, I thought, I have to use them. They are so funny. It is so down to earth. I won't tell you what he says because it'll take away from the film. But I thought, we have to use this. And he was telling me, we didn't just talk about Skylab. We were talking as well about Apollo 13. And he was saying Honeysuckle Creek were the quickest at locating a spacecraft, and they used their setup template to organize Madrid and Goldstone. And he was telling me that then they were, during the Apollo 13 crisis, they needed to have 2 antennas relatively close together to track the lunar module and the command module. And they got parts up. I don't have transcripts in front of me. It took 24 hours to set up the Parkes antenna to be able to track the Apollo spacecraft. And what did he say? I think if I'm not mistaken, they got it up and running in 3 hours.
Holy Moses, that's crazy pants.
Right. Again, you hear these stories, and there's these unassuming gentlemen talking about this, and you think, they again as well, like the Parasol, developing that within 11 days. Mm-hmm. Amazing stuff.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Neuropilot from the chat room says, did you talk to any of the RC-138 tracking jets used for Skylab?
No, unfortunately, we didn't. We had a very tight schedule. I wanted to talk to Alan Bean, and he wasn't at Space Fest last year, and I heard that it was personal issues, and these guys aren't getting any younger, and I just did not want to impose, even though we were in Houston at the time. And then afterwards, I emailed him, and he goes, I would have talked to you. And I'm like, oh, Al, no. So we've got brilliant archival footage. We didn't manage to personally interview Jerry Carr, but there is a TV station, a public access TV station up where he lives called GNAT or GNAT, and they licensed the footage to us. So we've got basically everything we were going to ask him is on this interview, and that's then incorporated into the footage. So a big thank you to the GNAT people for allowing us to use that, and Jerry Carr for signing it off that we could use it.
Yeah, no, Jerry's awesome. That's
cool.
Yeah.
I met him at NASA actually during one of the NASA socials. It was really cool hearing him talk about his stories and everything. Seeing Jerry Carr, that was great. So that's so cool. Everything you're doing.
Totally.
One person we did speak to, and I showed the last time I was on the show, the footage of him was Dr. Lubos Kohoutek, who discovered Comet Kohoutek. And it took me a good year and a half to get him to agree to the interview. He just doesn't like giving interviews. And we're in Cologne, and Hamburg is about a 3.5, 4 hour drive. So I had to do it myself. My wife couldn't come with me, and drove up to Hamburg, to the Sternwarte Hamburg, where he actually discovered the comet. And I'm standing there, and one of his colleagues came down before he arrived, and he goes, how did you manage to get him to agree to an interview? He never gives interviews. And I'm like, because I'm so lovable and Australian, that's why. No, it was a lot of, I had to convince him that it was an important story and people needed to hear it. And, I don't want to wait until it's too late. And another instance where this one really almost brings me to tears. When we first arrived at Space Fest, these guys are my heroes. Okay, so I see them and I talk to them, so I'm getting better with it. But there's still this 10-year-old boy in me that goes, oh, "These guys have been up in space, right?" And we came into Space Fest, and I see all these people who I admire sitting there, and I freaked. I'm like, I can't do this. Went around the corner, psyched myself up, came back to Paul White's. He was the first one that we said we have to talk to him, because with Bruce McCandless I was emailing, so I knew he had agreed, and Jack Lousma also. And then we went up to Paul White's, and I said, Mr. White's, I'd really like to interview for our film. And he just goes, "Nah, don't want to do it." And I'm like, but because I had gone through this freak-out phase, calmed myself down and psyched myself up for it, I looked at him and I said, "Oh, geez, that's a pity, Paul, because we interviewed your colleague yesterday, Joe Kerwin, and he was happy to tell him, I just wanted to hear your side of your important story." And he went, "Is it just a Q&A? And I said, "It's just a Q&A, and there's no weird stuff that I'm going to throw at you like some hoax garbage or anything like that." And he went, "All right, I'll do it." And after they did the panel at Space Fest, it was the Skylab ASTP guys. He came to us and said, "Okay, I'm ready to do the interview." And I was there paranoid going, he agreed to this, just keep it quick, ask the important questions and get it over and done with. He didn't want to stop talking. And then, we come back here, and I had viewed the footage, and I can't remember, 2 or 3 months he passed away, and it turns out we got the last interview with him.
Oh, wow.
And
wow.
I didn't intend for this film to be like that. It's just unfortunately the way of life. But I thought, had I allowed myself to not focus, that would have been it. His story would have been lost.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's
crazy how life happens like that sometimes. That's incredible.
Well, the same thing happened with Bruce McCandless. He was there. I had emailed him before, and I said, "Can we quickly talk to you?" He said, "Not a problem, as long as it doesn't conflict, because my commitment is with the Space Fest people." And it was just before the banquet dinner, and he said, "Okay, I've got a couple of minutes, not a problem, I'll talk to you." And he talked about doing Capcom, and he talked about the MMU testing, which actually the unit he developed was called the AMRV, the Astronaut Maneuvering Research Vehicle, and he was insistent to call it that. And so I figured, well, he developed it, he should know what it's called. And it wasn't the last interview we got with him, but I'm certain it's the last interview we got with Bruce McCandless talking about Skylab. I am certain of that, because, as I was saying before in the show, no one ever asked him about what he was doing at in Mocha for Skylab, and we were the ones that asked him.
Wow.
Wow.
That's crazy.
So exciting.
Wow.
Yeah.
To have gotten that, that's really good. That's just really, I think, can show a lot of people just kind of when you're in moments like that, definitely don't freak out. It's good that you went and ended up just doing the interview anyway. That's so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, these words wouldn't get out. People won't know their stories. So
yeah,
kudos.
Yeah.
That's really good.
It's similar. Sorry to interrupt. Live TV from the moon. I had interviewed Stan Labar every third day for approximately 2 years, telephone. I would call him up and we would discuss Apollo, and that's how it ended up being this discussion about Skylab. Every 20 minutes he would divert to Skylab ASTP. and he saw the written manuscript. He didn't see it with the pictures and that, and the book was scheduled to come out in July, if I remember correctly, 2010, and he passed away December 23rd, 2009. Wow. And again, and another fellow I interviewed for it, John Lawrence from RCA, who developed the small slow scan camera for Apollo 7 and 8. He happily, shared documents and interviewed with me via email, and he passed away as well. And I thought, I came at the right time to tell their story. It's so important. Otherwise, it would have been forgotten. Well, the documents are there. They're in the NTRS if you know where to look, and they're in the JSC history portal. But if you go in there and say, I want to know how the camera works, good luck to you. It's very difficult to pull all the necessary researches together into a document. And the privilege I have been given to allow this story of theirs to be told, it's something I don't take lightly. And I've got a photo of the Skylab guys. That one. And I keep saying to myself, you're doing it for these guys. You are doing this film for these guys. Sorry, I'm getting a bit emotional there.
No,
please do.
That's amazing.
That's what fuels like what you're creating. That's what fuels people to also go and actually, want to explore more in this. So, yeah.
So the thing is that you have this Kickstarter, and if I remember correctly, you only have 27 days left on it. Today, as per this recording, it's March 10th. So if people are interested in hearing these stories and more of them, please go over to Kickstarter. It's super easy to find. I actually just searched Skylab and it popped up. It was actually the first one right on top there. And put your money towards this, because this is, this is amazing stuff. And
please do. We're not going to pocket the money and go to a Pacific island somewhere. We are putting it straight back into the research. I don't know if you can see the film canisters just.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Right. These things were sitting in somebody's storage locker in Florida, and he decided he wanted to sell them. And they're engineering reference copies. They were what they used in those days to analyze whatever experiment or whatever situation on Skylab they wanted to see. The originals, I must point out, are held in the archives at JSC or National Archives in the United States. These things are like throwaway copies. And, I looked at them and, again, George is like, what's this? This is amazing. And I'm thinking, I must share this with the world. So that's what we're trying to do with the film.
Yeah. Thank you for Space Kyle in the chat room for throwing the Kickstarter link into the chat room for us there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's see. I know there were a couple questions in the chat room. I want to try and address some of this going on there.
I'm reading one of the things there that they used the Pacific Island to receive data from Skylab. They used the Vanguard ship to track Skylab. I'm not too sure if Guam was actually being utilized at that point. Definitely Honeysuckle was. Madrid was. And when we were talking to the engineers at Tidbits Tracking Station, as Honeysuckle no longer exists, they were saying, depending on the orbit, they had either 3 minutes or up to 12 minutes. And if anyone knows what Tidbits and Honeysuckle are like, they're surrounded by mountains to keep the reception clear of any extraneous noise. And for example, when you drive onto the premises, you have to turn off your mobile phone. And I'm just thinking to myself, God, how would it be? You stand there and you're going, okay, the spacecraft is coming from there and we better get that satellite dish aligned to follow it. And we've got 3 minutes, right? And if you go to a website called honeysucklecreek.net, John Saxon, who we also interviewed, was recording several passes of the Skylab, and he was doing it actually for his sister. And he explains what they're talking about. And these tapes go for 2 hours. And this is stuff that this is another story I need to tell you. The JSC audio archives that we've got access to, these are available on a PDF list, and I just wrote to the guys over there and said, can you access these tapes for me, please? What do I need to do? And they said, not a problem, we just have to bake them. And a lot of the stuff between being transferred from JSC to NARA, from NARA copied back to JSC, a lot of stuff has gone missing. Skylab 2, SL2 is pretty much intact. SL3 is around 50%. It's probably there somewhere. It's been lost in transit. And SL4 has only, I think it was 8 files left, and they're only of the EVAs. I was trying to find the Alan Shepard reprimand. Couldn't.
Wow.
Video of the alleged mutiny, couldn't find it. What we've done, and I'm debating whether or not I use it, when we're talking about the reprimand from Alan Shepard, I've got a voice actor to imitate Al Shepard reading the transcript. Because when you hear it read out, yes, it's a reprimand. It wouldn't be nice to hear it on air, but it's nowhere near this colossal bollocking that people think happened. It was very, very, very civil, and that's the whole thing.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
God, that's fascinating. Wow. I thank you for honoring Skylab in such a manner. I learn a lot every time we have one of these interviews with you. Actually, it's a whole, but you cover a whole bunch of things that I, again, was not taught in schools. That's still really, really fascinating. I appreciate all of the work that you put into these things, because these are really fascinating stories, and this is an area that I am very interested in. Even going back to the first episode that we had you on, which apparently was like 1 million years ago. I took a look at that. I was...
Well, we don't talk about that episode ever again, okay?
Oh.
No, actually, that episode was okay. It was the Yuri's night shortly before I did that, where I was logged on and I said it's a one-man party, and then I remember Carrie Ann just reading on air. Oh, I loved it. Just going, ew. Creepy.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't remember any of those things. It definitely didn't happen. Thankfully, there's no record to go back, so you can't confirm or deny any of those things. If it was on the internet, it doesn't necessarily mean it was true. Dwight, thank you again. Hopefully, this gives you a little bit of bump in the Kickstarter project. We're going to be donating towards that, because this is really just fascinating. But we're going to wrap up and head out and maybe eat some food. My stomach was growling. I know yours was earlier.
I was weird.
We have
salmon.
salmon and space pods to film too.
Yeah. So thank you, Dwight. I appreciate. Yeah, go ahead.
A couple of people have donated or pledged, and thank you from all of us here. Thank you so much for that. That means a lot to us.
Perfect.
To be able to
Amazing.
be hopefully telling the story. And if you could tell all your friends, tell them it's a great little project. The guy who's running it is lovable.
Yeah, not creepy at all. Not creepy at all.
No.
I retract my earlier statement.
We've got the clothes on.
I love it. And thank you, Community of Tomorrow, for helping out with that. All right, so anybody else want to say anything else before we go?
I'm good today, so just the space pods.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we don't do those live, right? Cool. All right, so
awesome.
Thank you guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody. See y'all.
See you next time.